Yeah, I guess what was coming from me, very interesting, I was thinking that we also should be careful of not overthinking, and we have to take action as well. So there is a balance between thinking and also sometimes have the courage to do things. Because, and you know that probably, and I definitely know that, right, from cognitive behavioral therapy, what we think determines how we feel, our emotions and feelings, and that determines actually how we act and how we behave. So, and sometimes I see that people who only think a lot, that they don't get into action because they get stuck into those limiting beliefs they have. So I actually often say, when it's very difficult to break that pattern of limiting beliefs, act. Because when we act, we actually shape new beliefs, because we collect actually proof for a belief which was actually not serving us. For example, if somebody is very afraid to ask a question, right? That happens a lot to us, right? In a room, right? At work, because they feel like they're junior and they don't have a good question to ask, and they're very afraid what people think of them. So they overthink a lot and they think they are not good enough, right? So you can break that pattern, right? Try to break that pattern and break that limiting belief. But sometimes it's so deep in them, it doesn't really work. So what you can do in the same time is just for the person to take the courage and be brave and just ask a question, not think, but act. And by acting, you will find out that, hey, it is not so scary to ask a question. Actually, my colleague also wanted to ask the question, but actually didn't dare to. And then by acting and taking these small steps, by acting, you actually change the belief that you are not valuable enough, that you're not good enough. And then, and then you actually created a new belief for yourself, right? So that was actually the first thing which was coming up for me when you ask about thinking. I was thinking, be careful, don't overthink. That was the first reaction. But I think if I go back to thinking and expanding, I think it's really about different perspectives. Again, going back to learning from different people, different cultures, or reading a book, or anything which can give you different ideas. Because then, if you have more ideas, you will come up with different solutions, right? If we have only talking to 3 people, then it's very limited in terms of perspectives, right? But if we are open to more perspectives, I think it will help us to find a better solution in the end. But I think what is always difficult is that it's very easy, like, to talk to you when we have the same values, right? And we have to, and it feels familiar. It doesn't feel scary, right? But if people are very different from you, then it's very difficult to actually not judge and bring curiosity and really listen. Because sometimes we feel maybe like threatened, and then we don't open up. Or sometimes we think that this is a stupid opinion, I totally don't agree with it. But then you also close down, right? And I think also there, and that's why I really like our Covestro value, actually, Vivian, curiosity. If we can bring in curiosity everywhere, then it really lowers the judgment, and that really can help us also to work with people we don't feel so comfortable with, right? And that's very normal that we don't feel comfortable with everybody, but the people who are most different from us are actually the ones we can learn probably the most from, because they have something we don't have, probably, right? And that's always a very interesting area, I think, to explore. Like, if a person is giving me discomfort, probably because this person is very different from me, right? Different values, a very different background. And instead of, not engaging, is bringing in curiosity to do engage. And then you actually found out we're all humans, and we're still actually similar needs. But the starting point and the stories of the others are so different that sometimes, because of the different stories, their behavior is very different. So instead of judging the behavior and understanding the stories behind, I think is very helpful to expand our thinking. Going back to your question, expand the possibilities actually we may have. So Is
Wow.
that okay? So it's maybe
Yes,
different
yes,
than
Yeah,
you
just
expected, but
beautiful.
it sparked something
beautiful.
else when you were asking that question. And I think that's the beauty of interaction, right? Because nothing, for sure, you probably prepared your questions a little bit, and but every person you talk to probably is very different, and other things are coming up, and also for me. Yeah, I was very curious and excited, and I loved our conversation. And I truly hope that it maybe can inspire or give some ideas, and maybe even just different perspectives. Right? People don't need to agree with or even do what I do. Definitely not, because we're all different persons. And I also think that we should not copy other people, but we should find our way, right? Our process, our values. And I think that's an easy thing. So I, as a coach, right, we never give advice, because
Yeah,
we are not that person. But what we do as a coach is actually giving the opportunity to find out the different perspectives, and for
yeah,
them to choose what is the best for them in that moment, right? Yeah, so therefore I also, yeah, try to do that, just give perspectives, and hopefully that it resonates and people pick their own uh, nuggets out of our conversation, right?